So nowadays we don't really give much thought to wireless connectivity. Every single freaking device has either Wi-Fi or Bluetooth or both, no matter its function or how small or large it is. Everything from your TV to a fridge, just cram a broadband card in that bastard. However, in the early part of the millennium, wireless was just beginning to take off, and I mean, it was a big deal not to have to be tied to a cable, especially for portable computers. And Apple was on the forefront of this revolution, starting with their iBook in 1999. It was always amusing to me seeing the crowd go wild during the first airport demo, and I mean, I would have gone nuts if I had that in 1999. We wouldn't get Wi Fi in our house until years later. The first generations of iBooks, PowerBooks, and PowerMacs actually used a special airport card you had to have installed or purchased separately, and it worked alongside a base station. So you could now use the internet wirelessly as well as communicate with Bluetooth devices later on, such as cell phones. A couple of years after that, Apple got into the music business with iTunes on the software side and the iPod line of products on the hardware side. That presented the opportunity to combine these two technologies, in particular somehow transferring the music over that same wireless technology built into their base station. Solution to that problem? Here it is. It's called Airport Express, and it was introduced in 2004, both during that year's WWDC and also the D2 conference earlier that year. It looks exactly like their power supply, but it's actually something else. And yeah, it was a base station providing coverage to up to 10 simultaneous clients. But if you look closely, apart from having the Ethernet jack, it also has a USB port. The advertised purpose was wireless printing, so before USB printers had Wi-Fi and Bluetooth capabilities, yeah, this way you could print your stuff from the other side of the office, let's say. You can also power other USB devices, like say speakers, which ties in with that other function the device provided. But for me, the coolest feature was that other port, the audio jack, since yep, other than transferring USB data over the air, you could do the same with music. And yeah, this was a popular demand back in the early 2000s since digital music absolutely exploded, and while it was easy enough to transfer it to and from your PC or an MP3 player, if you wanted to bring that over to your hi-fi, let's say, you had to either burn that music to a CD or use a wire to connect your device's audio output. With this, you could output your audio wirelessly, and since it had a built-in DAC, they advertised lossless audio suited to higher bitrate digital files. And this all seemed very cool to me, but of course I never owned any Apple base stations until a couple of weeks ago when I snatched up this first gen one along with a sealed first gen Apple remote for like $5, mainly because I was interested in, like, is this something you could still use today? And you might obviously ask, what's the point, since transferring audio wirelessly is something you can totally do directly nowadays without the need for a third device. Also, with this thing using 802.11g, it caps out at only 54 megabits per second. Insane in 2004, but not really something you'd want to use in 2025. But before you completely write this thing off, do consider that I have a lot of older tech, and some of it's in active use. For example, my home theater system in my game room, I use that every day, and I pipe the audio from my TV to do that, and it still kicks ass, but it doesn't have any wireless connectivity. And while you can use modern Bluetooth dongles that take USB power, this thing's so ancient that it doesn't even have that, so this is actually not a bad option at all. Since I never used it, I was curious if you could actually still pair this up with like a modern Mac, and it turns out not only you can do that, but it also works with your modern iPhones, which is crazy because, I mean, we're talking about Apple here. So the first thing to do is to, I guess, give the unit some power and plug in the Ethernet cable. The light should turn amber and start blinking, which means it's ready to connect and go through the initial setup. Now I could immediately see the device pop up on my Silicon Mac running Sequoia and on my iPhone 15 Pro Max running the latest version of iOS. And I could even initialize the base station configuration process, however it would always just glitch out at one point or another. I've also tried my phone and my 2019 Intel MacBook Pro, but no luck. However, if you have a pile of old Macs sitting around like I do, this shouldn't be a problem. And I've decided to power one of my white plastic MacBooks up to troubleshoot. And of course, that one was able to establish the connection no problem, but more importantly, it prompted me to update the device's firmware, which I did. It took a couple of minutes, and I mean, I guess Apple still has these files somewhere up on their servers, because it completed the update no problem. After that, the unit went through the reset process, and instead of using that old white MacBook, I went back to my newer MacBook Pro, and wouldn't you know it, it finished the initialization process without any errors. Oh my god. I did it. Ah, dude, that's super cool. We're cooking. Sweet. Just out of curiosity, I tried going through the entire thing again on my M1 MacBook and phone, and sure enough, after updating the firmware, it had no trouble at all. Awesome. I'll stick to my Intel Mac here just because it has a working screen, and I'll plug one end of the audio cable in the AirPort Express and the other in the audio in port of my little amp. And even though you could hardly say this could be considered impressive, I mean, I still find it cool as frig, since it's not actually Bluetooth, but 802.11, and while there are also plenty of technologies using that standard, like AirDrop, and I mean, AirPlay has been around forever too, but come on, this is an accessory from 2004, and to see it working properly with a device from the future, I don't know, it just kinda makes me happy. And no trickery going on here. You can see that if I disconnect the cable, the music stops playing. Bread. You can also do the same from the phone, so you can see that the airport utility reports the connection has been established, and the most amusing thing I found is that freaking Airport Express icon. I mean, somewhere in iOS 26 there's an icon for a 20-year-old accessory, in case some freaking weirdo decided to connect to it. And I mean, I love this sort of legacy crap, it makes me happy. And I never expected Apple to execute on it like this. I mean, we all gotten used to the anti-consumer crap they often pull, especially since so many apps got broken, first with the 64-bit switch in Catalina and the Apple Silicon switch in Big Sur. But the fact that you can still use this for its intended purpose without resorting to third-party apps, yeah, it's cool. Now, will I be leaving this thing plugged in behind my TV? Honestly, I don't think so, mainly due to the fact that I have a wireless video and music player built into my TV, and this thing does get warm and draws power, but I will keep it around just in case because I do enjoy making use of old crap. And if you too enjoy using old crap or watching me play with it, you might want to check out some of my other videos or even subscribing to my channel. I do these videos once a week. Reviews, retrospectives, repairs, restorations, and all sorts of nerdy tech stuff. If you like what I do and want to support me, you can do so on Patreon for just $1 a month or more if you'd like. If you'd like to chat with me and other users, you can join our Discord server. All the links will be in the video description. Thanks, and I'll see you again soon. Cheers.